Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rslash Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, we are only seeing people that checked in online. That was easy. We're only taking mobile orders right now. Okay, cool. You need to follow the law. Okay, no problem. Going all out when asked to go all out. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. We are only seeing people that checked in online. This happened this weekend. I went to get my hair cut this weekend. I was over by the haircut place running some other errands. I figured I stop real quick to see if I could get a haircut before they close. The place, a national chain, closes at 5 p.m., and I got there at 4:05. When I walked in, the screen in the lobby that says the estimated wait time as well as shows you who is already waiting, said the wait time is 15 minutes with 3 people waiting. To be clear, when it is this close to closing time, I always check the wait time on this screen. I don't want to make them stay late. I'm a guy that gets a very easy haircut, basically a crew cut, that typically takes about 10 minutes. So if the wait time plus 10 minutes puts the time past closing, I don't even bother to check in. I don't like to make people stay late. But with 55 minutes left before closing, and only a 15-minute wait, I figured there was plenty of time. I walked up to the counter, and the receptions rudely asked if I had checked in online. I said no, and she said that they aren't taking any walk-in because they are about to close. They are only taking people that have checked in online. Okay, so I pulled out my phone while standing at the counter. I pulled up their website and checked in online right in front of her. I waited for my name to pop up on the waiting list on the screen. Then I looked at her and said, okay, I'm checked in online. I got my haircut and was out of there by 4:30. I went to Best Buy to get some earbuds, but the salesperson said they were out. Sat in my car, ordered them online and walked back in to get them. I've done this when I can't get help at Lowe's. Did this too. Clerk and I couldn't find the part, but online said they had a dozen. They were put in a very wrong spot. Order online, go do a bit of other errands and come back in an hour. They had them waiting for me, smiley face. This is great clips. My prior company supported their app and network, and the staff are the absolute worst. Many locations should have the app open on an iPad for people to check in at the counter, but a bunch of franchisees refuse to listen. I always advise avoiding great clips if possible. In my city there's a locally owned hair salon right next to a great clips. They share a wall. The local one always seems to have more clients. I wonder why. Fall last year, I queued through the app. It let me get all the way through scheduling and GPS me to the store without telling me the store had changed its hours and had been closed for half an hour. Checked after walking up to the locked door and the closing time had changed. It was clear from the signage on the door that this was not a recent change for them. That's just compliance. Yes. She was complying too, with potentially a corporate policy issue during a time of reduced staffing. She's not upset, she's happy you followed the rules. Yeah, I talked to my stylists about this, and they said they hate not doing walk-ins, but corporate policy won't let them. It's them being frustrated losing the money, not an attitude against the customer. I fail to see the malice. The implication was it's too close to closing time to take more people. In my country for some time it was part of COVID regulations that barbers had to do that in order to keep an active log of customers in case of an infection. This isn't related to tracking for COVID. You have to give a phone number and name when you walk in at this place, and have had to long before COVID. That was easy. I was looking for a Staples Easy button as a gag item to put on top of a large radio tower for a climbing class I was hosting/organizing just before the world went sideways in 2020. I see online the local one has 2 versions in stock, and at least 15 of each. One version is even on sale. I was getting some work done on my truck at the dealer a short walk away, so I head over after dropping it off. The store has maybe 4 to 5 employees in the front chatting. I am one of 2 customers as there was an older lady getting things printed. I spent maybe 15 minutes looking, but can't find them anywhere, so I go to the desk and ask. The woman there says they should be out somewhere, so I ask where. She just rolls her eyes and says they must be out then, but I could order online. Okay, well, it was just for a stupid laugh and not worth paying for shipping, but as I go to leave I check my phone and see I still have the web page open. I also see they have an order online and pickup in an hour option. Great. I have nothing better to do as my truck was supposed to be ready in about 2 hours. I found a nice desk chair in the back of the desk display area to sit at where I could see most of the store from, then I ordered it for pickup. A moment later I see an employee leave the front area with a small printout. He proceeds to walk around for a while, passing me a couple times. He can't find them either. After another 10 minutes he goes back to the front and gets another person to start looking. More fruitless treks around the store, and I can see they are starting to panic. As I am in a swivel chair, I have a great view of everything and can rotate as needed. Thus far I seem to be unnoticed. Now 3 of them are looking. Another few minutes and a manager has appeared to see what is happening. Finally he gets everyone there to start looking other than another employee still helping the old lady. I overhear him commenting on how other things are not in the correct shelves either. After what has now been 1.5 hours since I entered the store, they realize the buttons are all still in a box up on a high shelf. The desk woman I originally dealt with is asked to go get a ladder, and has to come past me. Now she finally realizes what happened and makes a very lovely face at me. She finally gets the box down and takes one out to the register, while the manager has everyone else gather around to start organizing the store. I still haven't received the item as ready for pickup email, but I get the call my truck was ready. I notice she is glaring at me, but must have entered it in as ready as I get the email. Now, as these formerly chatty employees are being put to work, I walk up to the register and get the pickup from her. As soon as I start walking to the door, I hear her manager call for her to come help. Thanks for the tip to order online. Nice touch. Sitting in the chair watching must have been fun. Pity they didn't have popcorn in stock. I recently realized my wireless mouse was dying and I needed a new one. After checking a couple other stores and realizing they stopped carrying them sometime in the few years since I last bought one, is it really that hard these days to find a full-size wireless mouse? I saw on another store's website that they still had them, and the location less than a mile away from me showed 4 in stock. Great. I'll just swing by there and get one. Except when I got there the place where they were supposed to be was empty. I asked an employee if they'd been moved or something, not a check in the back sorta thing, just a "are these in a special display somewhere or something" thing. I was informed I'd have to order one from online, and pay nearly half the price of it again for shipping. Except their website was still showing that location had them in stock. So later that afternoon, curious about what would happen, I ordered one for in-store pickup. Either they had them, in which case now they would have to find it, or they didn't, in which case, I didn't know what would happen, but hey, it was worth a shot. At the very least I'd know, and maybe it would get them to update their site listing. Wouldn't you know, I got an email the next morning that they were out of stock, and would I like to convert that to an online order with free shipping? One day later I had a package with my new mouse sitting on my doorstep. You should have unpacked the button and pressed it in front of her. Oh, that would have got me hurt for sure. I am not an imposing person. That's what she gets for not helping. Retail 101. I've been in those stores before. No one knows where anything is, and there's only one dude just flinging stock at whichever shelf feels right, lol. It's all about the feng shui. Minimum wage equals minimum effort. We're only taking mobile orders right now. Okay, cool. I have taken on many assignments recently. Let's call the most recent a driver for food dude, where I deliver food to people who order. I picked up 3 orders, and toward the end of picking up the third order in a short time period, late at night, I had decided that smelling all of the fast food got me hungry for a bite. I decided that, upon picking up the last one over an hour before closing, I wouldn't waste time ordering my food while picking up my last mobile. Hot food matters, plus I know how anyone this is to the drive-through from experience, and decided I'd come back and order my own after I deliver. So I drive back to the fast food empire, and the drive-through pipes in after a minute, and I say yes, I'd like to order a rudely interrupting person says we're only taking mobile orders right now. I explained to them that I was just here 10 minutes ago, and would have ordered then if I had known. I drive for food dude, as if this would somehow change their mind because it's mobile order adjacent or something. Then I hear a bevy of people laughing and making random comments, while the main person talking repeated even more rudely, "We're only taking mobile orders right now," with the background person saying OF asterisk 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 him. That's that guy who before they disconnected the line. Enter malicious compliance. Well, luckily I have a hot spot, thank you first job, so I simply used my iPad to make an other food dude order through their location, for quite the feast. I was only planning on getting a big nasty and some fries, but my order now consisted of coffee, a shaky shake, fries no salt, some of the most annoying things to put together for an order. I also, while waiting in the drive-thru behind another bevy of cars, managed to change my name on the other food dude app as Jokes on Ulysses, which I know would, if it works like the Aloha system at my company, show up in their system as Jokes on You. I also managed to pick up my own order seeing where my address, and where I was located was the closest one. I was very thankful for this, because there had to be 3 other mobile order drivers in line, any of which could have been linked with the same food delivery company. So here I go, finally inching up to the drive-thru as one of the most annoying looking people in the world. Maybe I'm biased, but this dude's trying to bring back the mushroom cut, leans out way more than needed just to happily remind me, dude, we're not making anything for you, it's MO. My turn to interrupt. Oh, it's under Jokeson, which I pronounced Jokuson, like it was an actual name. I just picked up the order in line like right now. So he huffs away and they take an insanely long time making it, to the point I feel bad because they didn't have me pull around while 3 other cars were behind me. I even asked, hey, do you want me to pull around? I'm happy to wait. They just scowled and went back to making the order. They finally hand out all of the things, drinks first, and I start ripping into the items in front of them as I shift into gear. The slow realization of what just happened appeared on their faces, and I regret that I only got to see it out of the corner of my eye. Well, the only downside I'm seeing now is that you had to pay the, usually, inflated for delivery prices, maybe even a delivery fee by the company. That, and if you ate that food you most certainly also ingested someone else's bodily fluids. They also got paid to deliver. Probably not a huge loss all told. This reminds me of a time I was in the next town over on my motorcycles enjoying a ride. My brother called me and said, hey, can you bring me some food? I get there and try to order inside, but they say drive though only. I'm holding my helmet and in full gear. I say I don't mind to wait, but drive though and motorcycles are not the best combo. You'd have to bring my food out to me anyways. The lady goes, you can only use the drive though. So I hopped back on my bike. Ordered, got to the window, and had to get off to get out my wallet to pay. Then pulled around to the front and waited for them to bring the food out. I would have stayed in line to put it all in the back cargo pouch and racked up their time, but I felt bad for the people behind me waiting in line. I did something similar at a Hertz. Walked up to rent a car, and they said they only had cars available for reservations or Gold members. So I stayed at the counter, signed up for Gold membership free trial on my phone, called her back and said, "Hi, I'm Gold member number XXXXXXX, I'd like to rent a car." She didn't even blink, just rang me up and moved on, all professional like. Yeah. That's usually how people respond. It's not even really malicious though. The company got a new gold member, which is what they want. She got to do her job, and you got a car. Even if you cancelled it right after, the entire point is to get as many people on it as possible so some of them will convert. What a bunch of arses, good on ya, although I would have found a problem with the order. Well, there's Satan, settle down. Instead, rip into the items while staring straight at them, and eat like half the burger just staring into their soul. Then smile mouth full and say thanks while partially spitting food in their direction, then slowly drive off. Business demands mobile order. OP places mobile order. My God, the intensity of this MC is too hot to handle. And he was malicious towards employees following their boss's orders. You need to follow the law. Okay, no problem. I live in an apartment block in Europe with about 100 apartments in total. Every year we have an election for what could be compared to an American HOA, where we elect a president and a couple of board members to manage the general expenses and daily maintenance tasks, fixing garage port, cleaning common areas, security cameras. While we do have a rule book of sorts, nobody in the board has ever been too bothered by neighbors going their own way as long as there is no complaints. I am the president of this HOA as of today, and I have had my fair share of interesting neighbors, but this one takes the cake. He bought a fancy Tesla, which he made an effort to flash around the neighbors, kind of condescending on how useless old cars are, how we live in the past. Thing is, we don't have a charging station in the garage, so he has to go to the gas station to fill up the battery. There was no charger when he came in, so that shouldn't come as a surprise here. But as soon as he got the car, he started pestering the board asking about the EV charger. We need to keep up with the modern times, you know. We repeatedly answered that it is in our plans, and that we would love to get him on board to help us, as he was the main interested person for the task. This should make the process much more efficient. He never responded to the invitation to join and help. There is even a small payment for the board members, and we are slammed with other higher priority tasks that have suddenly popped up, fire alarm upgrades, changing parts of the sprinklers, so we really cannot use much time in EV charging, although we all agree that we have to get that going. Suddenly, I got a phone call from an electrician reading from the law that we cannot deny a EV charger in the garage, and that he would come the following week at our earliest convenience. I just asked him for some time to read the law and make sure we were on the same page, and in the conversation, he slipped the name of the person who had ordered the charger. To no surprise, it was the Tesla man. There are others with EVs in the garage, and we have a fluent communication with them about this matter. They prefer to wait than to work on the case, which is fine by me. So, I reread all the laws and our internal regulations to make sure that we were following everything to the letter. It turns out that the law forces a HOA to facilitate the infrastructure for EV charging, not the stations themselves, as long as there is not a force majeure reason against it, like economical reasons. And our internal regulations state that changing essential infrastructure of the building needs to be done under the approval of the General Assembly, which happens once a year. I talked to our finance manager, and he argued strongly against such an expense without getting a loan to partially finance it, as it would destabilize the economy of the community. With all that, we decided to comply with the regulations fully. 1. We won't decide on any structural changes on the building until the next General Assembly. 2. We need a person dedicated to following the steps of finding providers, comparing offers, and presenting them first to the board and then to the rest of the neighbors. This also includes safety measurements for the upgraded infrastructure. 3. Once we have a budget, we will find bank offers for the loan that we will have to take most likely. 4. We need to hire a lawyer to update the rulebook to account for the use of chargers in the garage. As steps 1 and 3 are dependent on general assemblies, the process will inevitably be prolonged in time, and we know that neighbors are generally against taking up a loan that will increase their monthly costs. So he will have to fight an uphill battle for being a pain in the butt. The best part of this is that before all this happened, we were considering setting a temporary charging station for everyone, instead of the ideal solution of everyone being free to set their charger on their spot, that would not require a loan, and was planned to be done during 2022. Now, we will have to ask the Assembly if this is an interesting way forward, and abide by the response. I feel bad for the EV owners because when the Tesla guy invoked the rules, the game changed, and now they have to wait for all the official process instead of having a temporary, just A-OK solution while we got the rest in place. I lived in a condo, and it wasn't built with EV chargers. If any of the co-owners wanted a charger, all they had to go is hire an electrician and install the charger and wire it from the building input, install a counter for their usage tied to their electrical utility bill back to their spot. It's never been the responsibility of the community to pay for that. I don't understand what you have to install that's new. Electricity cabling per parking floor? Safety fuses, new wiring, new counters, possibly new electricity net connection if demand power is above rated power, fire protection. I can think of a lot of things that fall into the community's/owner's responsibility. That guy is going to be pissed when he sees what he has invoked, and can only be mad with himself. I can tell you he is pissed, and he doesn't look at me anymore. He feels I am on a power trip, even when I have asked him to please join the board to get this done. He wants the goods, not the effort. As I know from the updated law, WEGRACT is that you must allow that each individual owner get a permission to set a charger for his own but not on cost for all owner. One tip, depending on what kind of garage in some areas coming up new fire regulations in case of a overheat battery, not every fire department is able/could help in case of emergency in an underground car park. So they'll ban charger in such building without updating fire sprinkler etc. We need to have an infrastructure that allows the owner to establish the charger at their own cost. Right now the electrical infrastructure in the garage is basically a couple of cables for the lights, nothing fancy. And yes, we are upgrading the fire protection systems exactly for these reasons. But when you want a charger, you don't see all the rest of the things that need to be in place before that. I've read about a similar situation, but in the US. Don't forget to consider that EV present a huge fire risk in case the cells rupture. Fire authorities may need larger access to the garage in case something like that happens, and the fire suppression systems may need some upgrading. Look for local and national laws regarding parking of EV in shared underground spaces. Just FYI. Local laws may differ from country to country. I don't know a lot about cars, but aren't gasoline tanks a huge fire risk too? It sounds to me, although the actual wording of the laws may prove me wrong, that you are only made to allow the changes, not actually make them yourself. If Mr. Tesla wants to have his charger, he can pay for the installation and infrastructure upgrades required. All you need to do is ensure that access is granted to the contractors. It would still need to wait until the general meeting though. Going all out when asked to go all out. I was in the third month of my employment at this particular gas station, and had formed a bit of a rapport with the local police. They had ramped up their presence after cashiers including yours truly had received multiple death threats over things out of our control, and a few of the female cashiers were receiving other threats. In said third month, a regular got into a fight with someone out of town. One party had hit on the other's girlfriend or something trivial like that. It was out in the parking lot, and inevitably the cops were called in to break it up. The responding officer, whom I'll call Officer Krupka, noticed I was the only eyewitness, or at least the only eyewitness that had stuck around, and asked me to fill out a police report so he'd have something due. Krupka then made the mistake of recalling I was an English major in college and bade me to go all out. I went all out. In the report, I included absolutely everything: the time the incident took place, as well as the time zone, spelled out, security cameras that would obtain the footage needed, rough size and direction of the blood spatters, measurements in both imperial and metric, also spelled out, physical descriptions of the customers present, the direction customers were facing versus the one I was facing, also spelled out physical descriptions of said customers, the exact amount of money the customers had spent on which groceries, and so on. Roughly 2 hours and a little over 5 pages later, my masterpiece was done, and I called in Krupka to collect. Krupka, you do know I have to read all this, right? Me, you told me to go all out. Krupka, I have to read this. Found out much later one of the other officers wanted me charged and/or arrested. Their sergeant thankfully refused to hear of it, citing my following instructions to the letter and for using better grammar than most in the department or even the community ever did. The sergeant made sure to stop by occasionally over the next month to ensure neither Krupka nor any of the other officers were giving me grief over the police report, as well as to request I do a 10-page police report if ever I got the opportunity from another police department. My store manager got a kick out of the stunt, the assistant store manager sided with the jerk who wanted me arrested, and Krupka switched over to morning shift as I was a closer. He wanted you arrested for what? This is my question. Arrested for following directions. Krupka, you do know I have to read all this, right? Me, you told me to go all out. Krupka, I have to read this. Me, what, are your lips going to get tired? It's not that long. It's only 5 pages, what is he complaining about? Did OP write it really small like the fine print on legal documents? Seems to me that OP did them a favor, with that much information they could make a really detailed report. What kind of society is this where police officers consider arresting someone for filing a report requested by the police? This is America. Hey, at least they didn't just plan to shoot OP. So you're saying we control cops by writing overly verbose incident reports? And maybe accidentally pasting the text of James Joyce's Ulysses in there too? Yes, but only if you are okay with being arrested if your local police sergeant isn't quite as decent a human being as the one OP dealt with. Rslash Officer Krupka, ain't that what you said? Go all out, so this is me at full steam ahead. I'm sorry you still move your lips when you read. But that's what you requested, so that's what you need. What you need, what you really need, is to think before you speak, that's what you need. This is a work of art. Someone has been in or directed West Side Story, possibly more than once. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.